Good afternoon, good afternoon. It's the Vayman channel. We're going to be talking about Obi-Wan episodes 1 and 2 from Disney Plus. And what's this? I sense the dark side is close to us. In fact, it is just very dark on the other side of this panel. And it's because we have...
Hello there.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, now I'm going to turn on my light.
Yeah, please do, please do. Yeah, very good. That's a very elaborate mirror you have behind you.
I made it myself.
It's very nice. It's very nice. I'm not judging. I'm just being descriptive. Right. So we are here to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, episodes 1 and 2 on Disney Plus. I personally thought, what an outstanding opening 2 episodes. Really impressive.
Shall we talk about Comic-Con as well?
Yeah, we can. We'll talk about Comic-Con at the end. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So what an outstanding opening 2 episodes. I thought masterfully written. They didn't give in too much to fan service or whatnot. I think they just kept to the story, and it was just really good to see how what happened in episode 3, how it's affected Obi-Wan's life and Luke's life and Uncle Owen's life. Bav, what did you make of episodes 1 and 2?
Episode 1 I loved. Episode 2, I didn't necessarily like it.
How dare you? Okay, but why is that?
I mean, to be fair, now there was one. Now you're gonna laugh at this, but basically, in episode 2, and spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, then you shouldn't be really watching.
Well, if they haven't, then they shouldn't be clicking on this stream. In all fairness,
when one of the Inquisitors, Reva, there was too many scenes of her going from one place to another, and I was just like, how long does it take you to get there?
She's very quick. She's got the Grand Inquisitor Oyster card.
Yeah,
which allows her to take fast travel.
So what? She's got the things. She's got the Oyster card that's on the Grand Inquisitor's head.
Yeah,
the things that are on the side.
Special Oyster card they have, and yeah, it's allowed her to just travel around the entire universe really quickly. But you bring up the Inquisitors. In fact, you brought up a specific Inquisitor. I think instead of talking about each episode individually, we're going to talk about the main points from Star Wars, just so anyone who's tuning in is aware. Bavik, this time last year, were you a huge Star Wars fan? And briefly, just just give a quick synopsis of what happened in the past year.
I literally thought, let me just watch episode 1. Then I watched episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 7, 8, and 9, and then I started watching Clone Wars. Haven't watched Mandalorian yet, and I haven't watched Bad Batch. I haven't watched all of them. I started watching Rebels, and then I didn't really like Rebels. There's something off with Rebels.
Well, I really enjoyed Rebels, but what has Star Wars done to you though, on an emotional level? With you kind of suddenly getting into it. I was personally, just so people are aware, Bav is actually my little cousin. So yeah, I was quite surprised to suddenly see you out of nowhere just become this huge Star Wars buff, and you suddenly knew all this trivia, you were doing all this research and all different characters and all these.
I just kept on sending you videos.
You had these really deep cut characters you were suddenly getting really interested in. What's this? Why has this universe really captured your imagination more than you probably thought it ever would do?
All of the characters, or even you can actually relate to at least one character within the whole entire franchise. Now, for me, the only character, well, I say the only character, the main character that I can actually gel with is Darth Plagueis. And I've read the book. If you haven't read the book, you need to read the book. The book is amazing. Darth Plagueis is... There's a reason why he's called Darth Plagueis the Wise.
You heard it here first. Read Darth Plagueis the book, and Bavik, who do you align yourself more with, the Jedi or the Sith?
The Sith, the Jedi are kind of meh. And plus, I lost all respect for the Jedi when they got rid of they banished Ahsoka.
Yes, that's the only. When I was watching Clone Wars, when that happened, I was done with them. I was like, nah, I'm done with you guys.
No. The only Jedi that I would say that I actually, I wouldn't say Ahsoka's a Jedi. She used to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
But the only person would be Ko-Plow, basically, who actually introduced Ahsoka to the Jedi. Because she was the only one that actually apologized to Ahsoka.
Yeah. I mean, the way they treated her in Clone Wars, when she was perfectly innocent. It was for a bunch of really smart Jedi. You think they would have worked out she'd been framed, but absolutely useless. So let's just talk about some talking points from these first two episodes. Bavik, I know you want to talk about. Let's talk about the Inquisitors first. Especially, we've got the Grand Inquisitor, and we've got Reva. She's a little bit evil, isn't she?
She's very evil. She does. I just think she just cannot. She cannot comprehend taking direction.
No.
She would. I've come to the conclusion that she basically wants. She wants to be Darth Vader's apprentice. Because all of the Inquisitors used to be Jedi.
Yeah. Well,
they were either
most of them, or they were force sensitive.
Yeah.
Or they were on the cusp of, should I become a Jedi? Shouldn't I become a Jedi?
Yeah. But then since Order 66 happened, obviously there was a purge of all the Jedi. Majority of the Jedi that were captured, they were given an ultimatum. They're like, you have to join us or you get killed or go into hiding.
Yeah.
But in terms of introducing the Inquisitors,
even
if you weren't, if you were watching this first episode, you didn't know anything about Star Wars. You knew that these people were called the Inquisitors. And I think the way that it was introduced, the guy was, the Grand Inquisitor, he introduced himself with loads of questions to everyone towards the bar. It means it's like, this person means business. He's here for something. That's one thing I actually really, really liked. Like you can tell this person's the bad guy. It was no grey lines or anything like that. It was just black and white.
What I liked about the Inquisitors were that, especially the Grand Inquisitor, that there was definitely this feeling like they straight off the bat knew Reva was going too far. Like when Reva chops off that woman's hand, the other Inquisitors are like, dude, what are you doing? Like that's just going a little bit too far. So I do like the way that they are trying to, at least they're trying to have a nuanced approach to take the Jedi, and it's almost as though they're not taking it personally. They just see it as a job.
Yeah.
They just see it as something that needs to be done. Whereas Reva, on the other hand, she's taking this stuff personally, and she's taking the Obi-Wan stuff personally as well, which, I mean, so far has gone in her favor because she's managed to track down Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But I think it will ultimately be the downfall of her.
It's going to be ultimately downfall, and I think out of all the Inquisitors, is it called Inquisitorius? I think it's called Inquisitorius, all of them.
You know more about Star Wars than I do now. I'm just here to take you.
I think they're called the Inquisitorius. So I think, like, Darth Vader is in charge of all the Inquisitors, but he doesn't like the fact that he has that battalion. There is actually friction between the Grand Inquisitor and also Darth Vader.
Really? A bit of a bit of work politics.
Work politics, and I think it's just egos. This is the thing.
I've just got to answer this question. Sorry, where is Davey P? Already levels up. I mean, I know, right? This is already a far better podcast than when Davey is here. I have benched Davey for the Star Wars podcasts, simply because he doesn't watch enough Star Wars, and he wanted to be on here, but I said no. I said, stop talking for the sake of talking, basically. Davey, you can message me later. So yeah, Bavi, you had an issue though. We've had the grand.
So
just so people are aware, I have had a long weekend in Liverpool, and I've barely had any sleep. So yeah.
So my only thing with the Inquisitor is now the Inquisitor, the species itself was actually introduced back in episode 3 as, I'm going to call it the 8 because they're actually called the ancients, but they're actually called Powans.
Okay.
Star Wars has very difficult spellings. Now that person that actually leads Obi-Wan Kenobi towards the mass factory of the Clone Wars, the Inquisitor and that person, they're the same species. They should have really made the Grand Inquisitor look like the Grand Inquisitor of Rebels. What we've got is like, why is your head too big? Why is your head like the same size as mine? I'm so sorry.
Bigger, to be fair. It's definitely more rounded and domed out.
Yeah.
To be honest, it took me a while to actually realize that that's the same Grand Inquisitor.
Did you?
From that movie, and also there's a cartoon version of him as well that pops up in Rebels. Is it Rebels? Yeah, I think that is Rebels. And
yeah, Rebels.
Taller and a lot like skinnier with it.
Yeah, that's who I envisioned the Inquisitor. Someone who's long, someone who's literally skinny. They got a big bulbous head.
Yep. Kay's here, by the way. He's a bit late, but he will give input.
Yay!
remember, like Kay saw Star Wars in the cinema back in the 70s.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he's an OG.
He's an OG. I haven't reached that status just yet.
Well, I don't think you'd be able to, in all fairness, unless you've got a time travel machine.
Okay, you're rude.
But yeah, no, just going back to Reva. Yeah, Reva seems to have a really interesting story. 2 things about Reva. Number 1, a lot of people were speculating that she could have been one of the young Jedi Padawans, or Jedlings, as I like to call them personally.
In the opening scene.
Yeah, So like when all the 66 issued and they're all being massacred by the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
In Holloway Cinema, they saw it, by the way, just so in case you wanted to know. My dad took Kay, my sister, there, I believe. And so there is actually one of the Padawan is actually a little black girl. So a lot of people were speculating actually Reva could be that Padawan, and that's the reason why she has such a bitterness towards Obi-Wan Kenobi, because she feels as though, because when she's actually in that we'll call it a pub or a bar, and she says the Jedi's are cowards, this could be her basically upset that like Obi-Wan was meant to look after the Padawans and the little Jedi younglings, and he wasn't there. He never sat, and all of her little friends got absolutely massacred. And maybe that's the source of her. Maybe that's the source of her need for vengeance.
There is some type of personal vendetta against Obi-Wan, which I think is going to become more and more open when we go more into the episodes. Because I don't know, I think it was in the trailer, there is actually a screen cap of Darth Vader and Reva standing side by side, and they're just talking.
Yeah. So that's another point I think is worth making. How did yeah, cake. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
What's not going to happen?
It's in the comments. I think Reva. How does Reva know Anakin is Darth Vader? Because that's meant to be a secret.
Hmm.
She tells him that, like, yeah, yo, he is. She tells Obi-Wan, like, Anakin is still alive, but nobody's know that Darth Vader is Anakin. How does she know?
He probably was just like, yo, I'm Anakin. Okay, she didn't really say that.
You reckon she's like walked into the Bafta tank one day and accidentally saw him in there?
It probably might be the case that she must have. Well, she must have hitchhiked. Huh?
Yeah, this is the thing. My brother says the Inquisitors must probably know, but I guess if they see him without the helmet on, they might recognize him as Anakin.
But I think it's very rare that you actually see Darth Vader without his helmet, because there's been multiple times where people have tried to see him without his helmet. There was one comic book where there was a woman who was completely infatuated by him, and she kept on daydreaming about him and whatnot. One day she eventually ended up in his chambers, saw him without the mask. She basically was projecting her love towards him. Next minute he just gets the lightsaber, puts it through the woman and says, oh, someone needs to clean up the trash, in true Darth Vader fashion.
Be careful who you profess your love to.
But yeah, I think there is a hidden agenda with Reva. Or it probably might be the case that she just wants to prove herself to Darth Vader so Darth Vader can take her on as an apprentice.
Yeah, I think maybe she has like a want to be the next apprentice. Obviously, there's that rule, isn't there, that there can only be two.
Yeah.
There's the master, then there's the apprentice. So
yeah,
either Palpatine would have to be defeated by Vader at some point for Reva to become the apprentice. But I think that's a good shout. Maybe Reva does see herself in that spot to become a potential to be Vader's apprentice. Also, as well, they like the other Inquisitors, Darth Reva. The other Inquisitors are also kind of they mock her a bit, don't they? They're like, oh, you came from nothing. You're not one of us. You're.
I think this is where the xenophobia comes in against the humanoid Force users.
Do you think that's the reason they're picking on her, because she's human?
Yes, because throughout the whole entire Star Wars timeline, there's always been some sort of xenophobia, especially forget about the Inquisitor group and whatnot, even within the Jedi Council. Before, they would look down on other Force users or just outer human races. They would look down upon them. And that's also something that's been going on throughout the whole entire time. There was one point where literally the Jedi Council was just humans. It's only now, well, I say now from I'm talking about episode 1. That's you've got a culture shock of Jedi users. It used to be the case where I think they would automatically perceive them as Sith, and this is my own take, because if you were to look at all the Sith Lords besides Darth Sidious, you had Darth Plagueis. He was not human. His master, Darth Tendrius, Star Wars names I can't really say. He wasn't human. His master before that, he wasn't human. But there have been like humanoid Sith Lords, but it's very rare.
Okay, that's an interesting take. We'll see how it works out. I think when he says they like took her from nothing, did they even say the gutter or the sewers? I can't
Bottom
remember.
feeder or something like that.
Yeah. I think that could suggest that maybe she's been on the run. You know, she managed to escape the onslaught of Order 66, and she was as a child and the early teens to her late teens, maybe just scrapping for her life, just doing whatever it takes to survive. You know, on the bottom rung of society.
Yeah.
So that's my theory on Darth Reaver. I think she's had to grow up with a really hard life because she survived Order 66, and she had no help. All the Jedi were gone. She had no help from anybody, and she had to unlive the unfortunate. Yeah, she was a runaway found in the sewers. Essentially, she was sensitive. She probably wasn't given a choice. Either you join us or we're going to kill you. Because
that's what happens in Star Wars.
So, which will probably traumatize you even more as a child.
Did you know one thing?
I've noticed.
Whenever she's always acting out or doing the absolute most, they always used to, like, the Inquisitors or whoever would always call her third sister.
Yes, as if they're telling her
just
off
to rein her back in.
Yeah, it's like when I'm telling you off, Bavik, and I say Bavik Himaria instead of just Bavik. I've never told you off, so I've never had to do that. But if I was to tell you off, that's probably how.
I think you have told me off before.
Have I?
You must have.
No, I have actually, and we'll talk about it after.
No, I don't. Okay, fair enough. I know you have told me off, but yeah.
But yeah, is what it is.
But then again, you elbowed me in the eye.
Did I? Sorry, that was an accident.
That was an accident.
I'm not violent towards him. I swear down. He'll the fight, by the way. So Reaver eventually has enough, and actually stabs up. Well, stabs him once. Stabs the Grand Inquisitor. We know the Grand Inquisitor isn't dead.
Back to Star Wars.
Yeah. The family issues out of this.
Yeah, they can't kill off the Grand Inquisitor just yet.
But we know he's still alive because he pops up in the canon series in Rebels and whatnot. So we know he's definitely not dead. I read somewhere that his species actually have two stomachs.
Yep, they're carnivorous, so they have two stomachs.
And maybe that explains why he gets so skinny and tall in the other, because he's only got one stomach to process food, so maybe he starts to eat less. I'm being serious. Maybe that's the reason why he looks so funny, because his body can't take as much food consumption as previously.
They just need to put more black paint around his eyes.
Because you're really, something. I was on Twitter, and the majority of Star Wars fans are actually quite pro his look.
No. Do you know what? There was a part of me that was thinking, okay, you know what they done? Okay, we're going to come away from Star Wars. What they done with She-Hulk, they revisited the design. I mean, it still kind of looks weird, but they revisited it.
Maybe they tested it, and maybe the way it looks in the cartoons, it just didn't test very well on screen. Maybe they just thought, "Oh, this looks ridiculous."
But yeah, we got this.
I'm okay with it. I'm personally okay with it.
I mean, just put a bit more black paint around his eyes, and I'll be fine.
I can see why. Maybe someone needs to get him a little hair system.
God.
A little wig to cover up his rather big head. So yeah, that's So no, I'm loving the Grand Inquisitors. I'm really enjoying them being in this. I think they are terrifying. They're like the Gestapo or the SS or the no more the Gestapo of the Empire. Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm. I think those are the only Inquisitors that we're actually going to see, to be fair, because there's loads of Inquisitors. It will just make the whole entire, well, they do more episodes than great.
Yep. Cool. I was pleasantly surprised to see Leia Organa turn up.
I'm happy that the fact that we don't really have that much story of Luke, because Luke's story we've already done.
Yeah.
This is now more about Leia.
Yep. Our brother hasn't seen. He's only halfway through Clone Wars at the moment. But yeah. So you're more happy that Leia may be taking the main role, as opposed to Luke in this series.
Yeah. And which I think is good because it pays more of a homage to Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. And the actress they've chosen for her, she's perfect. She's got that little cheekiness to her, which Carrie Fisher and her portrayal of Leia Organa had as well.
Yeah. Everyone said on Twitter that Carrie Fisher will be proud.
Yeah. I love the way she has these little jokes at Obi-Wan's expense. Like when Obi-Wan says, "Oh, like we're gonna have to be tender like mother and daughter," and she's like, "Yeah, more like grandfather and daughter." He's like, "What? Nothing." I like.
You mean father and daughter, not mother and daughter.
So the grandfather and daughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But their interaction is quite funny.
Yeah, it's amazing. Because in the actual movies, they don't actually interact.
No, they don't interact at all.
Did they even share a scene in episode 4?
I think they've been in like the same view, like viewing, but I don't think they've not had no interaction with each other.
So, but obviously in episode 4, it's Leia asking Obi-Wan for help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so they obviously do have a history. That's why first instinct was to call Obi-Wan in episode 4. So this is the story of how Leia comes to trust Obi-Wan as her protector. She's beautiful.
What do you think of Leia's cousin?
Oh, what a dick! God, if he was in our family, Bavik, I mean, I would probably still talk to him and invite him to all the family functions, but then just talk about him loads behind his back. Because that's what our family does. And most families, to be fair. But
our family has taught us so well.
But yeah, that's what that was mean telling Leia that she wasn't blood.
No. I think but to be fair, I think Leia's cousin's got daddy issues.
Oh yeah, he seems like an absolute he's gotten it from somewhere. I hope they're not regular. I hope they're not regular cast members.
No, I don't think they're going to be written. Who are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't know who I'm talking about in the family. By the way, our family is amazing. Just want to put that.
I mean, we're literally like Star Wars characters.
Yeah, we are.
No one's not the same.
Yeah. We really are. I mean, but yeah, it's amazing. I always enjoy a performance by Jimmy Smits, Leia's father.
Hold on one moment.
Okay, something's going on. Bavik is muting himself, taking off his headphones. I'm not sure what's going on. Well, this is making for great content. Right. I shall carry on whilst he's doing whatever he's doing. At this rate, I'm going to have to call Davey P back. Oh, he's getting his headphones back on.
I'm back. Oh, I'm going to take these off. Okay, I've got them on because sometimes If I have it the wrong way around, then you can't hear me.
Okay. So yes, loving Leo Garner, loving Jimmy Smith, loving her background. I loving the way she even like the sneaky little like swap around with one of her servants, similar to what we see her mother do in the previous movies. It was just all really nice throwbacks. Just all really nice throwbacks. All really nice little tributes.
And this is the thing, it's just kind of like, I think what this series will do, you won't, if you're not into Star Wars, or if you've never watched Star Wars before, it will make people want to watch the films just to pinpoint everything.
Yeah, this is what it's doing. It's wonderfully filling in all those gaps.
Yeah,
sense of all those stories, which we always wondered. Why did Leia call upon Obi-Wan? Why was that her first portal call? And so, like, I think Andor, which is going to come out soonish, I think that's going to feed directly into Rogue Theory, which is going to be. By the way, Rogue Theory for me is one of my top 5 Star Wars movies, so maybe even top 3. Rogue One, not Rogue Theory. Rogue Theory is something else altogether. Again, I haven't had much sleep. But yeah, I did like Obi-Wan's life. I like that he's kind of like trying to hide himself away. He rejects that other Jedi that goes to him for help. He's just continually rejecting people who need his help, and they're ending up dead or ending up worse off. So this Leia Organa thing is that thing that kind of spurs him back into action. Even then, you can see he's actually not very good at fighting anymore, is he? He's actually getting beaten up a bit.
He's a little bit rusty.
Yeah, he's a little bit rusty, which I like. It's real as well, and he's got a job as a factory butcher.
So he was cutting meat, wasn't he? I just didn't know what I was cutting.
When you if you rewatch it again, when the camera pans away from that scene, there's actually like this huge whale, like this desert whale carcass thing, which they're kind of next to. So I'm assuming they're basically taking from that.
I don't know if you noticed, but it was very, very subtle things that I noticed when he was going back and forth between work. When he was finishing his shift and going on to like the shuttle going back, everyone literally had their hands to their side. They literally were like seemed defeated and tired. And there was Obi-Wan who had his arms folded like he was meditating, because that's one thing that they do. But then, as I think the second time you see him, you see the fact that he needs to blend in a lot more. And I think this is when he realizes that he needs to blend in a lot more. So he's just like copies the body language of all the other people around him. Yeah,
absolutely. I think he's from what was a very exciting life. Jedi Council, he now leads a very monotonous life, and probably that meditation is just how he gets through it. Making a point of not using his Jedi skills, but he's using his Jedi kind of mindset just to get him through some of these harder moments. So even the bit when his fellow co-worker is being beaten up because the butchers have paid him only half the money. Again,
he really wanted to do Jedi mind trick. You can tell.
But again, he held back for his own safety. But we also have to remember that his main concern at the moment is probably, I've got to look after Luke. So he's probably thinking, like if I get killed, that actually jeopardizes Luke's future as well. What did you think of Uncle Owen?
Uncle Owen, I think he's just literally, he was just trying to protect he was trying to protect Luke. That's the thing, which you can't blame him for doing. I mean, Luke's father is basically a burn victim with a calculator on his chest.
Yeah, well, he thinks Luke's father's dead. So he doesn't want that same he doesn't want that same outcome for his nephew.
Yeah.
So
And I
think,
don't know if you actually knew in the original writings, there was actually going to be the case that Luke was either supposed to fail or actually fall to the dark side. And then the other person who was the chosen was actually Leia.
I did read that. Actually, I did read that, but I think the it being quite a period of misogyny, I think they was.
Yeah.
I think they were scared that that the audience wouldn't buy that as a story. But thankfully, we live in more enlightened times. Then,
But then people were able to buy the fact that Leia was in a gold bikini chained to. Was it Jabba? Was
yeah,
it Jabba?
yeah.
Yeah.
70s and 80s, man. It was a strange. It's great music, though. Great music. That period. Great music. I mean, yeah, I'll happily go back to that period just for the music. But yeah, I think we can really see Uncle Owen's kind of what he's going through. Like he doesn't want Luke to have anything with the Jedi's, and the Jedi's have been massacred. Like, what hope is there for Luke in any of that kind of life? But Owen does have the opportunity to give Obi-Wan up to the Grand Inquisitors when that woman's hand gets shot, but he doesn't.
Because then that's going to draw my attention to him. It's like, okay, so you knew Obi-Wan is there. Why is it the reason why you knew he was there? They'll start looking more into it.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Luke is a son to Owen, 100%. So I think for me personally, I think Uncle Owen comes off with a lot of shine in these episodes. Very relatable character. He's just a man trying to protect his family at
very underestimated, I would say.
Any means possible. He's just trying to protect his family. And he in my opinion, quite justifiably sees that as well. I've just got to keep him out of all this politics. I can't have him. If he gets involved in any of that, that's when I potentially lose him. So that's fair play. Those are the main talking points you wanted to go through. The episode 2 ends, and we see Anakin in the Bacta tank.
Yeah.
This scene has gotten the internet absolutely going crazy. How did you feel when you saw that scene?
I was just like, he finally knows this is the thing. Because they've done like an extreme close-up of Obi-Wan and then straight to him. So it's just kind of like, now I think during that moment, and Obi-Wan knew, it's just like, this is where I actually need to prove myself. This is where I need to come out of hiding.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to get purged. But
the same. I think as well. Like, this is the moment for Obi-Wan where he knows Anakin's still alive, and Obi-Wan knows, actually, I've got to start to actually instill myself into this conflict a little bit more. I've got to actually start taking a bit more of an interest in what's going on. Interestingly, at this point, I'm pretty sure in saying Reva and Anakin both can't connect Obi-Wan to Tatooine, because all this stuff is happening on different planets. So even after he's dealt with the Leia situation, he can still go back to Tatooine, and they won't know he's there, which matches, because otherwise episode 4 wouldn't have happened, because they would have just blown up Tatooine looking for Obi-Wan.
But the reason why, like, if you think about it, if Darth Vader wanted to, if Anakin wanted to, he could have found Obi-Wan straight away through the Force. But I think when Obi-Wan basically was like, I need to basically distance myself from the Force, cut his connections, then I think that's when I was like, okay, that's what I need to do to protect myself. He needed to connect You need to move away from the Force, because that's also one thing that happens a lot with the franchise. You've got loads of characters that go into the Force, then come out of the Force. They go back into Sith, then they turn into Jedi, then they turn back into Sith. It's very confusing.
It is. It is. That's actually a good point here, made by Kay. Reva may have more of a Force connection and senses Anakin and Vader are the same. That's actually a good point. Maybe she can like sense actually this person's Force energy is very similar to this person's Force energy. They have to be the same person because she would have known Anakin from the Jedi Temple if my theory is correct that Reva was there. It's not actually my theories, or other people's theories, but I think it's a good theory. Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. In the cartoons, General Thrawn works out that Darth Vader is Anakin just by watching him fly a TIE fighter. He's sitting there and he's going, "That's only a move Anakin would. That's only Anakin knew how to do that move. That's a quality. That's an Anakin move. That is. I'm telling you, this guy
Was he around when he was basically Anakin then?
must have been.
So, but he must have been like not a general during that time. He must have been in his lower.
Yeah, because he got him. Yeah, because what I'm trying to remember what role Thrawn played. He would have been part of the government setup, so he would have known Anakin. Anyway, because you got to remember all the Jedis were like military generals.
Yeah.
Before the Empire took over, so Anakin would have had quite a big reputation. Anyway, and probably would have been studied by other generals. So that all makes perfect sense, right? I think we've exhausted episodes 1 and 2 of the main points, but what do you think is going to happen in episode 3?
We're going to see the interaction between Darth Vader and Reva first of all.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see that interaction. I think we're also going to see the interaction between the Grand Inquisitor and also Darth Vader, which they don't get along at all.
Nope.
Because of Darth Vader actually massacres them, and they'll start decapitating them out on a whim throughout the whole thing. We might have more footage of Luke, but I don't want that to happen. I basically want this just to be about Leia.
Yeah, so do I. I think Leia's a far more interesting character at this point.
Yeah.
Than Luke is. And the more interaction we have between Owen and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the more you're going to be asking, like, you know, why wasn't more this reflected in episode 4?
Yeah.
So I think it's a smart move to have those interactions between Obi-Wan and Leia instead.
I don't think they're going to be showing Sidious, are they? I don't think so. Or they'll show like him in traces.
Maybe. I mean, don't count anything out. I think the one big cameo people waiting for is Qui-Gon.
Oh, what did you think about the veteran stormtrooper that was asking for credits?
Oh yeah. That was called Tamura Johnson. They got Tamura Johnson to do that role. Yeah, Luke is just a farm boy, and I don't know what aspersions you're casting on farm boys, but you're kind of saying, yeah, they're not very interesting farm boys. No, I love that, and that kind of shows that like this stormtrooper has a story as well, and like
so that particular stormtrooper was actually part of the 501 Legion that actually fought with Anakin.
Yeah. So that stormtrooper have a story to tell. Obviously, still not with the Empire, so somehow gone against the programming.
Yeah.
Another stormtrooper with potentially a very interesting story. I'm pretty sure that's the same battalion that massacred the Jedi Temple as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was the same one. So basically that battalion, once Order 66 was executed, they actually raided the temple with Anakin killing all the Padawans
Yeah. So he's
or
got
the
some.
younglings.
So maybe that stormtrooper actually. God, that's a really good point. But what if this stormtrooper was actually responsible for killing the younglings in the Jedi Temple,
Hmm.
and or killing the Jedi which were trying to protect the younglings, and and he's now got some kind of he's like managed to break the programming, and he's now got some kind of PTSD because of it, but he can actually fill in gaps in the story as to what happens.
It won't be it won't be the last that we see of him or someone
I hope
of
so.
his nature.
No, you've mentioned it. I think you're right. I think that's actually. I know he's only in it for like 10, 15 seconds, but he could potentially be a really important character moving forward.
I think probably there will be more dialogue between him and Obi-Wan, so it probably might be the case that he will come back to Daiyu and basically says to the stormtrooper, "Do you remember who I am?" And then they start having this open dialogue amongst themselves.
Yep.
His chip got fried.
Yeah. I like fried chips as well.
Oh my god. And what did you think about the cameo from Ewan McGregor's daughter?
Oh, that was cool. Apparently, there's multiple generations now of Ewan McGregor's family have been in Star Wars now. One of his like great uncles were also in the movies. So
I think he became he's like one of the executive producers. And I don't know if you've known this, but there's a lot of people that are very, very against him being the executive producer. I don't know why.
I don't know. The Star Wars universe does have it's quite an opinionated fan base. The Star Wars fan base. Gotta be careful. You say one thing wrong, and you're going to be getting death threats and stuff.
That's what's happened to the actress of Reva.
Really?
Yeah. So what's happening is that because of how a character is written, the actor is getting flack in her inbox by racist remarks and everything like that.
It's just disgusting, isn't it? I mean, she did a great job as Reva. She's playing it really well. She's making it really creepy.
She's like Umbridge in Harry Potter.
I don't watch Harry Potter, but I'll say yes, he is. She is. Yeah, she is. Just for the sake of agreeing with you, yes, she is. Just like Umbridge from Harry Potter. Right. Any other points you wanted to mention?
Who do you want to actually come into the show?
A cameo. Do you know what I'd like for this episode, for this series to explain? Now, I know this is going to get a lot of criticism because this happened in Boba Fett as well. I would actually like them to explain in this series how Grogu managed to get away during all this.
That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good if they use this, because it is all about orders. Because a lot of the narrative here revolves around Order 66. So this could, and the way Dave Filoni writes a lot of the stuff is his series are essentially anthologies. So we're not always sticking to the same place. We're not always sticking to the same character. We are going here and everywhere to get a more kind of broader narrative of what's going on. So yeah, I personally wouldn't have an issue if they use an episode or half an episode to describe how Grogu managed to get away during Order 66.
Because when they first introduced Grogu in the universe, I think he's like 50 years old, isn't he?
Yeah, 50 years old, but still.
Yeah.
The species lived to 800, 900. He's still got the mind of like a 5-year-old or something.
Now, I have more for myself. I think it's more to do with like the after. I just want them to bring in Plagueis. I really want them to bring in Plagueis. Maybe.
If they bring in Plagueis, I will jump up and punch the fist on your behalf as well.
They just need to make a show, not a film, a show.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, apparently Darth Plagueis and Jar Jar Binks are the same thing, same people.
Well, I mean, that's a theory I can definitely get behind. 100%.
He's the real reason why the Star Wars is actually happening. Jar Jar Binks has caused the whole entire thing.
I can believe that. I can believe that. Yeah. Jar Jar's got a lot to answer for. Right. That's Obi-Wan. Bavik, you attended Comic-Con over the weekend. You went as your own
my own rendition of a Sith Lord. And I wore coloured contact lenses and people couldn't look at me straight in the eye. And it's just like, to be fair, it's doing its job. It was like the Darth Maul eyes. Well, I sent you a picture of it.
Yes, you did. You did. And maybe you should send this picture to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and be like, look, I've created this kind of Sith Lord myself. Maybe you should take me on board on one of your movies. Write me into the Star Wars canon.
Also, to the person who dressed up as Darth Nihilus there was someone who dressed up as Darth Nihilus. Their costume was on point. I didn't manage to get a picture with them. I fist bumped them because they were literally walking around. And I think in my mind, I think no one actually recognized who this person was. But I literally screamed on the top of my head, Darth Nihilus, and me and him fist bumped.
I can imagine you doing that as well. Oh, Darth Nihilus! I can imagine you doing that. Or no, it'd be you, so it'd be more like, ooh, Darth Nihilus, I think. Probably be.
It was just kind of it was amazing. And whoever that person was, I hope you're watching this. Fun. Or if you know the person, send this to them and just tell them, their actual costume was amazing. They had the whole mask and everything.
Just a message to MCM Comic Con in October. Get some better guests in because I didn't go to a single panel. That's a lie. I went to one, but that's because I was tired and I needed to sit down.
Did you have to pay for the panel?
No. The panel I went to was about Afrofuturism, which actually turned out to be a really good talk. Just randomly sat at it, and turned out to be really good.
And also invest in more chairs. You had long tables and you only had 2 chairs on each table. What the hell? Majority of the people were sitting by the bins eating. I
sat by the bins and ate. I was like a young Reaver escaping the Empire, escaping the Sith as a child. But that was a great bit of fun. I'll be there again in October.
Oh my god, you should dress up as something again. Well, you've given up now.
I've retired from cosplaying. Well, who knows? But people can always come at retirement. I think we're done. But we're going to stream again on Friday. So straight after Obi-Wan's debuted, we're going to stream on Friday night. Is that okay?
So wait, it's on tomorrow, isn't it? Not on Friday. Yeah, it's every Wednesday.
Is it? My God, I'm out of the loop. Again, I haven't had a lot of sleep. We're going to stream on Friday. Gives everybody 2 days to watch it. And
And buy Darth Plagueis, the book.
Yeah, buy Darth Plagueis, the book, everybody. If you haven't, Babbitt's going to be very upset tomorrow.
I actually will.
Right. Great show.
Oh, wait, no, that's too early.
And it's nice to have a co-host who actually respects you.
I don't respect you as a co-host. I respect you as my older brother.
I
respect you as my cousin.
I respect you as well, as a Star Wars aficionado.
Yay.
Somebody who's becoming a Star Wars aficionado. Hopefully one day you might start your own channel just talking about Star Wars.
Do you know what? There was actually really, really close. They had loads of tattoo kiosks in there. I nearly was about to get a Star Wars tattoo.
I wouldn't be against that. Right. Bav, say the farewells to people who are watching.
Bye, people.